Again, it's not really about music for me. It's just about gaming. That's all I'm really interested in. Music's just a sideline for me. I just play games all the time.
Well, I understand that, and I do like playing video games. I find myself, I find that they become a time sink for me because I always have more things I want to do that don't involve games. But I hope that when I get older and my kids are grown up, I might get more back into it more. And I'm glad you brought it up too, because I wanted to find out what it is about Red Dead Redemption you don't like.
Well, first of all, it is one of the best games ever made. And I mean, if you said to me it's the most complete simulation of a thing that's ever been made, I beyond Microsoft Flight Simulator or something like that, I would say, yeah, you're probably right. It is an astonishing piece of work, just like Grand Theft Auto 5 was before it, but probably even more so. My experience with that game starts with the first game, Red Dead Redemption, because there was Red Dead before that. Then there's Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, Red Dead Revolver.
That's right. Yeah. So I've played that as well. Just sort of retrospectively went back and looked at that. Very different kind of game. But Red Dead Redemption, I was quite enjoying it up to a point, and then it was one of half a dozen. No, not that many. One of 2 or 3 games that really offended me with the thematic material. In Red Dead Redemption, there comes a point where you have to. You've got no choice if you want the story to progress. You have to go into an Indian camp and start slaughtering Indians. And I was so appalled by this storytelling that I just couldn't go any further. I was like, I can't. What else are they going to ask me to do? Far Cry 3, you have to in order to complete the story, torture your brother. There's no option. You have to do it.
Okay.
In Tomb Raider, was it Return of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the first one of the sort of comeback ones? You have to do some horrible things. Lara falls on a spike and gets spiked through the side, and she has to crawl through a sewer filled with dead bodies and shit. And I did finish that game. But Red Dead Redemption was one of those games that really made me question my life choices. Because when I'm in a game, I have had at least 1 or 2 experiences of what I call lucid gaming, which is like a lucid dream. It's actually, you can't tell it's not real. I've had a couple of occasions where I found myself waking up not having realised I was playing a game. I was really there. Once with Half-Life 2 and once with a game called Gothic 2, where I just completely zoned out. But almost all of the time when I'm playing a game, I am immersed in it. Hence wanting the 3D sound and the ambient lighting behind the screen. I just love being in that. It's the same with music. I go into it. And when I used to read books, I don't read books so much anymore, but when I was young and read books, it was the same. I would just be completely involved in it. So Red Dead Redemption 2 creates this realistic world, as you know. You've played it, I take it.
Yeah, I'm slowly going through my second playthrough of the game right now. Yeah.
So it creates this wonderful world, and it is spookily realistic at times. So my first playthrough, I got to the town where the sort of your first encounters with civilization, and a train comes through. So I thought, okay, I'll get on the train. So I got on the train, and I thought, I wonder how long this train will keep travelling. And I thought it's bound to come round in a circle. And this train kept on travelling, and the map got bigger and bigger. I was on that train for about half an hour, and the map just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually, I thought, well, I don't know if this train's going to go back. I'll just fast travel back home. No fast travel. You don't fast travel in that game. Oh,
well,
so how am I?
You can. You have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know how.
You have to upgrade your camp. You have to buy a certain wagon at your camp, and then you can fast travel to pretty much any town on the map. Which is,
so I didn't have that. This was early on in the game. I didn't have that. I was just exploring, and I got so far away, and I got off the train. I got trapped in one bit next to a river. Tried to swim across the river. I died in the river. It popped me back somewhere nearby, and I thought, well, okay, I'll just travel home. And as I got travelling home, all these enemies I shouldn't be meeting started ganging up on me and stuff. And I thought, okay, I'll leave this for a bit, and I just left it and never went back. So that was my first experience. So I had the game, it's sitting there on my Steam list, and I thought, I really must go back to that, because I didn't give it a fair chance last time. And I went back to it again, and I played through that whole opening in the snow and shooting is it the O'Driscolls they're called, the Irish lot?
Yeah.
You kill a lot of them, and that was fine, and then there's Dutch, the guy, your leader is called Dutch, isn't he?
Yeah. Dutch van der Linde.
And he's what a character, and he's got that little sort of panic in his voice from time to time that makes you think he's not quite stable. You know, come on, we need to go down there. And I was thinking, what is going on with this guy? And I'm worried by this point, because I'm thinking, what am I getting myself into here? Who is this guy that I'm giving all my loyalty to? And I progressed the game, and I thought, I'm not going to get on the train this time. I'm going to do it properly. And then I happened to be because I was looking up YouTube videos and things to do with it, I came across this spoiler, which I don't know how much of the game. Your second playthrough, you said you're on.
Oh yeah, you can't spoil anything for me, except for it sounds like, I mean, you mentioned slaughtering Indians. I'm wondering if it gives you different options depending on your karma level, because I never killed the village of Indians.
No, that was the first game. That's the first game.
Oh. Okay.
That's the first game. That's the first game. That was my experience with the first game. And somebody said, "Oh, it's terrible what happens to Dutch. That Dutch goes off the rails eventually." And I went, "Oh, I'm not up for that. I'm not up for being an accomplice to what is coming."
Yeah.
And that's the point at which I stopped playing, because it's like you said to me, go and watch Reservoir. You said go and watch Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
You said go and watch Pulp Fiction. I can't bring myself to.
Still can't.
I can't, because I'm there. When I'm watching a movie, when I'm watching a TV series, I am there. And just the clips of Pulp Fiction make me blanch. I can't do it. I don't know why. I couldn't explain it to you with logic or reason or science. No, don't watch that. There's two films that I watched when I was younger that still traumatise me. I still remember them to this day. One was called Young Guns, in which Emilio Estevez shoots a guy who's taking a shit and thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever done. And I was absolutely horrified by it. And the other one was Blue Velvet, where a guy who's been shot in the head is still standing up, hasn't fallen over yet, is just barely alive, and his brains are on the counter behind him in the kitchen. I still remember those images, those things, and still wish I really hadn't encountered them. Came out of the cinema shaking, because when I'm in a film, I'm in there.
Okay.
And as long as the violence is unrealistic, if it's like, it's unrealistic, and the other one is Saving Private Ryan, where the American soldier gets stabbed by the big German guy. I wasn't bothered by Omaha Beach. It was clearly
that freaked me out.
Well,
Omaha
because
Beach, like the guy that goes looking for his arm and then finds it. He picks up his arm and goes walking off with it. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, but to me that's hyper realistic. That's a form of hyper realistic violence that I'm actually okay with, because hyper realism isn't real. But that big German guy slowly stabbing the American guy, I could believe that would happen. That could happen, and I'm there with it. I don't want to experience that. I don't want to experience it. And it was the same with Red Dead Redemption. I was like, oh, this is going to go somewhere really dark, and I don't want to go there. So I stopped playing again. So it's not that I think the game's terrible. I think the game is brilliant, but it's just not for me. I can't encompass it. I can't be with it. So that's why.
Okay. Well, so yeah. Well, I mean, so you ever made it to the end of the game then? I guess, right? So can I spoil something for you, or is that...
sure. I'm probably not gonna play it.
Okay. Well, because I had a coworker at work. I told him how much I loved the game, and he downloaded it, and then I spoiled the ending for him. And he says he won't play it now, and I was a little upset because I remember saying, like, I didn't realize it was really a spoiler, because the idea of Red Dead Redemption, like the story, just like in the first game, is the lead character doesn't make it out alive. Like, the character has to die, right? So Arthur Morgan dies of tuberculosis in the game, right? When you're about 80% of the way through the game, and then you become John Marston, right? That's kind of the idea, right? So it's like it's a prequel to the first Red Dead, right? Because in the first Red Dead, you kill Dutch van der Linde. You kill all your gang members that screw you over in Red Dead 2. Like, John Marston has to go, and not because he wants to kill them, he's being forced to kill them by the Pinkertons, right? To save his own family, right? And then they backstab him as well. So the thing I liked about Red Dead is that, and number two is like, depending on how you play the game depends on what kind of character you are and what kind of life you live, right? So if you make the right choice, the good choice all the time, you have a glorious ending. Like you die like a hero. Right. But if you make the nasty choices, it gets grosser and grosser, I guess. Yeah. And it's funny, on my second playthrough, my goal was I was going to be the bad guy.
Right.
And I couldn't do it. After chapter 2, I turned around and worked my ass off to become the good guy again and reversed all my bad deeds. So I can't face Arthur Morgan having the bad death.
Yeah.
You know? But so I do get that, and I think it's funny, the Tarantino violence thing. The reason why Tarantino doesn't bug me is I feel like it's over the top, so it's not realistic. Like I find like it's like I'm watching a live action cartoon more than I'm watching like a documentary. Whereas like I've seen, like my wife Megan loves horror movies, so we watch horror movies quite a bit, and there's some horror movies I can't watch because if I feel like I'm watching something that looks realistic, like I'm watching a smut film, then I feel like this is just gore porn.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is for sick people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I watch like say like a good like slasher movie where like every encounter is like more grotesque and more gruesome, like people are having their guts ripped off and stuck in a car engine, you know, and they're being like, that's so unrealistic. I appreciate it on that value, right? The same way like that my Carnival Creep Show record I made, right? Like those songs are horrific. There's some horrific stuff I'm singing about in those albums. Part of the reason why I probably bring the vocals down a bit because I don't want everybody to know what I'm singing all the time. But like it doesn't like reflect on anything about reality. It's like it's meant to be like a fiction, right? So I'm not trying to convince you to watch Pulp Fiction. Like if you get distressed from watching a movie and you don't like the way you feel and what you think about, then don't watch it, right? Like it's not good for you then, right? You know, and I mean, and I don't think everybody that watches smutty horror are bad people. I just think that what they get from it and how they're able to remove themselves from it works for them, right? Like my wife, she gets fully immersed in these movies. I don't, right? Like I'm always making comments on the stupid camera angles and the poor writing and the poor acting.
Yeah.
And she's yelling like, "Don't go behind there! Don't go up the stairs! Oh my God, why are you doing that?" And I'm like, I'm like, it's a bad story. That's why they're doing it. It's terribly written. You know.
I mean, I must admit that there's I'm the same with when I watch with my wife. I'm always commenting on the fact that this is a story and all of that kind of stuff. But that's just a way of me trying to take myself out of the visceral involvement. I'm just like, oh yeah, that camera angle's not quite right. Oh fuck, he's going up the stairs. Yeah, oh no, I know what's coming because the camera angle's telling me what's coming. Is someone's going to creep up at the back? Oh my God. Yeah. You know, so I'm at the same time as I'm involved, I'm aware of the art that I'm involved with, but it doesn't stop the visceral side of it. I can't watch horror films and I can't play horror games. I can't. It's just no. Why would I put myself through that? I don't want to be there. The games I like best are the ones where I'm the hero right from the start. There's no ambiguity. I'm definitely going to be the good guy. You know. So I mean, there are games where you can choose to be the bad guy and you can do bad things, of course, like Skyrim and all these kind of games. But I like ones where my role is pretty well laid out. And I can do that thing, you know, is it role playing game wise. Minecraft, I love Minecraft. I love No Man's Sky, you know, that kind of stuff. Skyrim, Fallout, these kind of games. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
I have the game from before Skyrim called Oblivion. I couldn't really get through it.
Yeah, I loved Oblivion. Oblivion was brilliant. Yeah.
I just found it kind of like, I don't know what it was. I found the gameplay clunky, so I had a hard time getting into the game. Like it was just sort of like there was something about it. I didn't feel immersed in it the way some.
Did
games
you play it?
Do
what platform did you play it on?
Xbox 360.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, there was a certain clunkiness to that. That's absolutely for sure. And Skyrim
so because
perfected
of that.
Yeah.
I never bought Skyrim because I thought Oblivion was such a bore for me. You know,
right.
But now I could probably buy a copy of Skyrim for Xbox for $5. So I probably should get it. You know, but then again, there's 80 hours of my life just vanishes into a video game.
It's just had an update, believe it or not. Skyrim's just had another update.
Oh yeah.
Bethesda are not giving up. They're not giving up on Skyrim. They just keep selling it. Oh God.
But yeah, so I do jump into Red Dead here and there, especially if there's I'm having a slow time at work. I might play for half an hour. I very rarely play Red Dead outside of my work time because I feel like I can't sacrifice that time.
It's not taking up your time; it's taking up their time. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes though, if I come downstairs to make music, and I've said to Megan, I'm gonna go downstairs and work on music for a couple hours, and I come down and I don't feel creative, I'll play some Red Dead too. Like I'll just be like, I'm working on music, and
games are wonderful. They're wonderfully immersive. Certainly for me, they're a wonderful escape.
Yeah.
You can just if you find a great game. I found one recently called Tinykin.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was about a tiny creature going around an empty house. It's a full-size house, but this creature's like tiny. And it was wonderful. It was brilliant. It had exploration. It had parkour. All these little funny characters and things in it, and nobody else knows about it. But it was absolutely brilliant. It was just exactly the kind of game I needed at the time. And there's a wonderful website called, what is it called? It's called Steam Unlocked. So that's a place to get games.
Yeah, well, I hate to admit it. I mean, I don't like my copy of Red Dead Redemption is a cracked game, R2R crack. I got off of a private torrenting site, And I feel bad. Like I could buy it brand new from Steam for like $25 now, like at the full unlimited version, and then I could go online if I wanted to. But then again, do I really want to spend more time on a game that like I flushed out a bit, and I do love the game, but it's
and the thing is that quite often the cracked copies work better than the kosher copies because they don't have the copy protection that's causing all the problems. They don't require you to be online. So
well, it's funny. That's funny. I started playing Saints Row the other day. Saints Row is a game I like too. It's like an absurd version of Grand Theft Auto.
The first one?
And I played 3 and 4 on Xbox 360. I never played the first or second one.
I think I had the third one. Yeah.
And they're just absurd. They're like cartoonish versions of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
I love because they give in to all like the people that like out of world video games, but they also like the realism of Grand Theft Auto. It brings them together very well. Yeah. And the soundtracks are amazing. Like they pick great music in the games. Like Opeth is on Saints Row 3rd, I think, and Nevermore, like Devin Townsend and stuff, right? Like so stuff I thought no one else listened to. And so recently, Epic Games was like around Christmas they gave away a bunch of free games. So the new Saints Row was on there, so I downloaded it, and it's a little too woke, like a little too much rainbow flags and fluid gender type stuff. I feel like they're just placating because part of what the sexualization is what made Saints Row, I think, part of it appealing, like the men and women thing going on, but that's all blurred into one big rainbow now, and so that aspect is gone, and they play a lot safer with like they don't do as many questionable things, but we had no internet there, and the internet cable got cut, so I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything, so I thought I'm gonna play some Saints Row. Nope, sorry, you don't have internet, you can't play your copy of Saints Row.
Right.
Now it's free, so I'm not angry, but that game is $60. Like I could have paid $60 for that, and then been told I can't play it when the internet's out. Like what a bunch of horseshit.
They fucked up with that game. They really did. It got a lot of bad press, and it was a big budget game, and that's why they're giving it away for free because it was so badly received.
Well,
like a lot of games. They like the recent Bethesda game Starfield just completely polarized the fucking audience because they just I don't know what it is. I do know what it is, but it's so sad woke. That it's the fact that when Skyrim was made, when Fallout was made, there was a relatively small team, and one guy would be responsible for all the animations for one character set. And he could call on others to, I need a facial texture, or I need a gun texture, or and that was the way it was. And he was responsible for that. That's not the way it is anymore. As a developer, he was involved with the first Fallout games, so the isometric ones, 1 and 2, and he was saying what it was like to work in development now. And he was testing something, and he wanted a line of code put in. He wanted something, and he knew it was a line of code that would make the hitbox better or something like that. And so he contacted the person who was supposed to do that, and they said, "Oh, 6 weeks," and he said, "6 weeks? It's just a line of code. You can get it done right now. You can do it now." And he said, "No, because he wasn't allowed to sign off on anything. It has to go through a whole chain of command that will sign off on even just one line." So the guy ended up doing it himself, and he said it took me less than an hour. It took me 40 minutes, and he said I didn't know what I was doing. I had to discover the code that this guy had written, and then put my line in. He said if he'd have done it, he could have done it within 5 minutes, but it would have taken 6 weeks, and that's what's happening with games now. It's happening with films as well. To some degree, you see Disney. Everything's got to be approved by everybody. The lawyers, the different teams, the ethnic diversity teams got to have a say in it, and all that kind of stuff. And that's who's making films. Reminds me of the 70s. The 70s was a terrible time for movies. Disaster movies were about the only thing that you wanted to go to the cinema to see, and everything else was just shit. It was all just corporate fucking nonsense. All the films in the 70s were awful. And then Star Wars came along and everybody went, "Oh, we can do that." And then you had a whole bunch of Star Wars rip-offs for a while, and then films got good again. And the games industry and the film industry reminds me of that right now. It's like it's gone completely in the wrong direction. And then you get people like Larian with Baldur's Gate 3 just show everybody how to do it, and it's fantastic. It's an absolutely brilliant game. And you get filmmakers doing the same thing, but they are filmmakers that are working on their own or small budget, are making all the best stuff now. Yeah. And the big corporations can't do it because they're hidebound by bureaucracy. It's the evil of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy kills art stone dead.
Oh yeah.
There's no creativity inside a bureaucracy. There's no hope for it. So that's what happened with Bethesda, with the guys who made Skyrim and Fallout made Starfield, and it doesn't compute. It's not the same guys at all, not the same mechanism, completely different.